Our faith is being put to test at this point in time like never before. Really more than most of us can remember. I don't think it only happens to all of us. It happens right now it's happening in a global sense, but sometimes it happens to each of us in a very personal sense. It happens all the time. Sometimes the reality of life is that it leads you to challenges to your faith, to your emunah, to your bitachon that you never knew before, that you never knew existed. And in order to survive it, you have to really go to a very deep, sacred space in your soul in order to survive it. So I had 2 discussions this past week. One from a lady in Eretz Yisrael. She lives in the center of Israel, and she describes a life of a very broken life, in the sense that all my life I had one belief, and everything I ever believed in was shattered. She says, my family escaped from the Holocaust, made Aliyah, and went to a haven of safety and refuge, a place where we will finally be protected. And we were taught, we made a mishaberach, we believed that the land of Israel, the state of Israel, was Rishit Tzmichat Geulatenu, the beginning of the sprouting forth of our redemption. Meaning, finally we have an army of our own, we're protected, we're powerful, and it's true, we see a lot of sorrow and wars, but for the most part, we feel safe. She's like, now, you want to know the truth? She says, I taught my 10-year-old. We went through the house. She lives in a big house. And we went through to look for every possibility of a hiding place in the event that there's an attack in our home. And her older kids are telling her, you're traumatizing the child. She says, yeah, because I'm traumatized. And there's a reason to be traumatized. And I'm feeling trauma. Exactly. And she says, note that those who knew where to hide survived. Or had the ability to survive. Not true that they necessarily survived. But so she says, all my life I believed one way. And my whole belief has been shattered. Never again? Yeah, right. That was one discussion. Another one was with a Jew in America here. And he sent me a message. He told me that 50 years of my life, I believed one way. I believed that the era of suffering and pogroms and persecutions was over. And now we are close to Mashiach. And so we're seeing a period of time whereby we're safe. And we lived under this illusion of safety. Like looking around the world now, he's obviously not feeling the same immediacy of threat as the lady in the center of Israel, not near Gaza, but I think the center of Israel is about 120 seconds flight of a missile. And they've had missiles land, and they've had buildings fall, and they've had a lot of issues happening right there. In New York, we haven't really. But we see what's happening in the world. And the guy says, I'm suffering from a crisis of my whole life, and my whole belief system has fallen apart. And in both cases, I was thinking, how do we address it? Because, hey, we're all in the same boat in this instance. Everyone has had some kind of crisis going on. And it's not different to when you have a crisis in your life. When you have a belief system and you expect things to go a particular way. You expect, just looks normal to raise a family a particular way and to have certain basic challenges, and then everything goes right. And with the exception of little things that go wrong, and sometimes life just goes really, really wrong. And then you get stuck and you lose it. And what do we do in that sense? I saw a guy, a very interesting clip that was sent to me. He's an older gentleman. He looks like an American, like the pioneers, one of those guys. That's what he looks like. sitting over there, the real deal, the real foundation of America. I don't think he's Jewish. And he says, well, he's not Jewish, because he says, one of my Jewish friends sent me this book. And he holds up the book. And he's like, you guys are all complaining. All my conservative friends here, he said, are complaining that the government is, I think he said this a while ago already, so it's not about the current situation. He says, they're complaining about the government, and it's not what we wanted, and, it's so terrible to live here, basically, under a liberal government when you are conservative and all that. He lifts up this book, and he says, one of my Jewish friends sent me this book. It's about a Jewish man by the name of, a Hasid by the name of Rabbi Mendel Futzefas. And he says, look at this book. This guy was in the Gulag. The book is called My Life in the Gulag. Beautiful book. Written about him, all his stories that he told. And he was, 17 years separated from his family because they managed to get out of Russia and they were in England. And he didn't see them for 17 years. 8.5 of which he was in forced labor in Siberia. He was like, are you comparing yourself to that? Like, you bet that? Then he looks and he says, get a life. You're in the Gulag. You are in it. And when you accept that, you become strong. Like, okay, let's get through this. We just became weak because we kind of like expected that life should be fun and cute and nice and whatever, like this and that. And we forgot about the fight. So it's difficult for us. We were brought up not resilient, and we don't have that resilience. How do we find it? How do we discover a deeper relationship that we never had with God and make it real and lasting and enduring and something we can access in times of crisis? That's the question. All of us know that we were brought up as believing Jews to say and to believe, Ein od milvadei. Ein milvadei means there's none but Hashem. Hashem is there all the time. Hashem is just with us. God is the creator. He created the world 2,000 years ago. He keeps on creating the world. He's with us. You trust in Hashem, you move forward. God is with you all the time. Ein ra yored milamayla, nothing bad happens from above. Whatever Hashem does is good. That's a basic training. It's boot camp for a Jew. That's what we believe in. And we're very resilient in that sense. That belief is what's being put to the test. Do you really believe that Ein od milvadei? Do you really believe it? When you're faced with such horror and such evil in your eyes, right there, like you've never seen before, are you still able to say Ein od milvadei? Can you still expand your belief in Hashem to that place? Let's take a look at the Torah, because Torah instructs us in life and gives us a path and gives us a highway to travel on in order to get there, to channel Hashem's divine energy into us. So there is this episode where Yitzchak, Avinu, our patriarch Yitzchak, decides to give a bracha, to bless the wrong son. He had 2 sons. One was Yaakov Ishtam Yoshev Ohalim, holy son, pure, pious. The other one was Esav Ish Tzaid Ish Sadeh, a hunter, a man of the field. And Yitzchak makes a decision to bless the evil son. And that's horrific and horrendous in our eyes. How could you even entertain the thought of giving a bracha to Esav? Because to us, what it seems to be is that it's just a mistake. He didn't understand who Esav was, because Esav would fool him. Esav would come over and ask questions, like, how do you tie a straw? And Yitzchak was blind. So he thought, wow, what a holy son. He's asking such holy questions. Must be he's a big tzaddik. And he really, really believed that this child of his is special. He thought Esav was holy, and he was fooled. And so he comes over to Esav and he says, I want you to go out and hunt down an animal, shecht it, bring it to me. I'll eat it, feel good. I'm about to die, and then I'll give you a bracha. And the way we often relate the story is that Yitzchak made a big, grave error. And thank God he had a wife who understood, and she saved him. Because she switched, and she managed to get Yaakov in the garments of Esav to get in front of Yitzchak, and he got the blessing instead. Thank God for her. Because otherwise, he would have given a bracha to Esav that would have been absolutely disastrous. Because what it seems to be is that it's like a liberal Jew, if you will. We love to believe in the good of everybody, and we don't accept some people are just bad. They're evil. How do we handle evil, actual evil? But I want to share with you a whole different perspective on the story and on the bracha and on why Yitzchak sought to bless Esav and on how helpful it is to us in our lives, and that Yitzchak wanting to give a bracha to Esav is the best thing that could ever have happened to us. And even better was that Rivka managed to switch it over. But first, let's go deep and understand, what was Yitzchak thinking? What was his goal? What was his purpose? And how does it apply to us? Yitzchak, the word Yitzchak means laughter. But unlike you would expect that he was named for tzchok, he wasn't named tzchok, which is laughter, but rather Yitzchak, will laugh. Because as we've discussed in the past, what is laughter? Laughter is something that is unexpected. God in this world is unexpected. God amongst the angels is expected. When a human being finds Hashem, it causes delight in heaven. Because humans are stuck in a physical world. When humans discover God, that is exciting, delightful, fun, unreal. But real delight will only happen when Mashiach comes. So right now it's tzchok to some degree. But we realized and recognized that Yitzchak is futuristic laughter, not now. What's Yitzchak's goal? Yitzchak has a purpose. His goal is to share that laughter with the world. That the whole world should laugh. I want to share with you a Torah that was expressed by a very holy Jew. His name was Reb Aaron Strashela. Reb Aaron Halevi of Strashela. Now, Reb Aaron was a chassid of the Baal HaTanya. He actually was potential to be the next Rebbe after, and it almost happened, but it didn't. But Reb Aaron was one of the greatest, holiest chassidim, and he wrote a work called Avodas HaLevi. The work of the Levi. He was a Levi. That's his work. Just to tell you who he was, when he came the first time into his Rebbe, he wrote a little note, a pun. And he wrote inside the note, he said, I want to know, here's what I'm here for. He said, how is it possible for a lowly soul who toils and works hard to bind itself to the Ein Sof, to the unlimited, to the divine, to the essence of Hashem? He says, I'm here to discover how lowly me can build a relationship with God. And his Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya, told him, he said, I've never seen anyone who's asked me that question on day one walk in and say, what do I want? I want to know how me as a lowly soul can connect to Hashem. Understanding just that about him, it was a very, he was an Oved Hashem, someone who served God of the highest order. And a gaon, a genius in every sense of the word. In his work, Avodas HaLevi, he sheds light on the episode of Yitzchak and wanting to bench Esav and why it was foiled. Here's what he explains. Yitzchak means to laugh. What's laughter? Our world is not a funny place. Our world's an ugly place. It is full of, it says, harashoyim goyvrim boy. Wicked people dominate this world. The more wicked you are, the more power you have. It's a reality. Evil is all over in this world. Yitzchak says, I as a Jew, son of Abraham, am here to tell you that that's not true. I proclaim what my father began to proclaim, that there's one God, and ein oid milvadoi. There's none besides Hashem. His whole life, Yitzchak proclaimed that. Now he comes to his son and he says, I feel my time has come. He says, Lo yadati yom moti. He actually lived many decades more, but he wasn't sure, and he felt like he was about to pass on to the next world. So he says, I want to give you a bracha, but let me explain what that means. Dying means that you move away from the corporeal mundanity of this world, and you enter into a higher space. Dying is a process by which the soul finds its relationship with God, the truth. He says, as I'm about to depart this world, I feel less connected. He was also blind. But I just feel less attached to the mundanity of this world. I feel elevated. And so I feel ready to spread the message of Ein Oid Milvadoi with the world in its current existence. Yitzchak says, I want to take this message of Ein Oid Milvado to a space where it's never been before in the thousands of years of the existence of the world to that point. 2,000 plus years. What does that mean? He says, Esav, come here. Esav, you embody evil. Esav at that point was already a known murderer. Yitzchak wants to give a bracha to Esav, not because he doesn't know Esav, but because he does. What he says is, I know who you are, I know what you are about. I get that. And when I stare evil in the face, I still say, Ein Oid Milvadoi. I never stop saying it's all from God. He says, I want to be able to say, Ein Oid Milvadoi. Now, the core of what Yitzchak does is he gives a bracha. Before he gives a bracha, remember he was under the impression he was giving a bracha to Esav, so he sends Esav to the field. And then it says, he gave a kiss. He says, Gishana ushakali beni. Come give me a kiss. Now, that kiss, remember he thought it was Esav, it wasn't, it was Yaakov. But what is a kiss? A kiss is a very powerful energy. Kiss, right? When you kiss your child, you're expressing something very, very deep. Why can't you just say, I love you? What that is, that spirit is transformation and merging two entities into one. It's like sucking the life of one into the other, and you're going for a deeper reality. Because what happens is, every single situation that you see in life belies the truth of what's really going on beneath it. There's the external, and there's the deeper side of it. Everything but everything is God. There's nothing that transpires in the world that's not divine energy. Everything is. And what you want to do is train yourself to see and to feel that energy that you don't sense naturally. It comes about through saying, through feeling and working on yourself to say, it's always working out for me. No matter what happens, you respond, it's always working out for me. Everything you see is Hashem. It's all good, even when it appears to be absolutely bad. What's the kiss about? It's about being able to sense a deeper spirit than what meets the eye. So if I look at you, I only see external. When I walk in and I suck the air out, I'm going for a deeper reality, a merging, a fusion of two bodies, of two people. That's why we kiss, to express our love. That's what Yitzchak wants to do. The original kiss is described in Shir HaShirim by Shlomo HaMelech. King Solomon says, Shir HaShirim asher li Shlomo. What's the song? Yishakeni min shikot piu. I want a kiss from you, Hashem. What does it mean, a kiss? Hashem, I live in a dark reality. It's tough. Things are hard for me. And what I'm trying to do is find Hashem beneath the reality. Don't get me stuck in the superficial reality. Let me sense the truth that is belied by the superficiality. I want to sense that everything is divine. I'm hurting, God, because I don't see the pnimiyut. I don't see the inside story. The kiss means, allow me to feel the energy that you're really expressing that's behind the scenes that I don't sense. That's the kiss. What Yitzchak wanted was a brand new reality. He says, we Jews, like Yaakov, understand that what we want to be is ish tam yoshev ohalim. Leave me alone. Let me just do my thing. I just want to be able to learn Torah, to serve Hashem. I don't want to have to deal with the ugliness and murkiness of life and the reality around me. Leave me alone. And Yitzchak says, no. I am about to die. I'm about to go into a new reality. In that reality, when a person dies, he senses the truth only that Einad Milvadai. Nothing else. Let's bring that down to this earth. And Yitzchak sent us on a mission to transform Esav. He's not benching Esav because he doesn't know who Esav is. He's benching Esav because he knows who he is, and he knows Esav needs power. I need to bless this child because I need to be able to bring him back. I need to find God inside Esav. Can you imagine if we could find the good in the Holocaust or in the atrocities of October 7 of Simchas Torah? You wouldn't want to say this to someone who went through it. But that's what we want to do. We want to be able to say, Hashem, in the most challenging situations, you're right there. That's what Yitzchak wants to do. I want to be able to laugh, the futuristic laugh. I want to feel it now. Give me the kiss. Let me see underneath. Let me understand what this is. And it's impossible to grasp. It's like surgery. Imagine that someone from the Middle Ages who doesn't know what modern day surgery is enters the theater and he sees the surgery happening. He sees the guy's being cut up and starts screaming, what are you doing? How can you cut up a person, a human being? And the guy says, it's for his good. Right. Because you only saw a little snapshot. You didn't get the before and the after. He's trying to save his life. There's no way for us, without being able to see the full picture, to appreciate how these atrocities can possibly be good. But what Yitzchak wants to say is everything but everything is divine. You will find Hashem in everything. Stop being just an ishtam yoshev ohalim, a pure person running away from the world, enter the murkiness of the world. That's why Yitzchak wants to give the blessing to Esav. He says, Esav, go out into the field. What you need to do right now is, you're having a hard time, right? Esav, you don't even know how to control your own self. What I want you to do is to go back and discover, to do a deep meditation and discover that whenever you have a Yetzer Hara, whenever you have an evil inclination that's driving you nuts, the purpose is to get to a deeper connection to Hashem. He says, go out and hunt. Hunt means discover a part of you never knew to be true. And bring it back here. And take your bow, telicha v'kashtecha. Telicha means your bow and arrow. He says, take your telicha, your something which you suspend on, litlot. Suspend yourself on something higher and find the bow and arrow. What does that mean? It means shoot to a deeper level. That's what all of us have to do. When life is tough, shoot deeper. Find God in places where he wasn't present before. Find your relationship where it wasn't there. That's what Yitzchak wanted of Esav. He wanted Esav to be able to discover the good in every single position. In the most difficult, impossible situations, find Hashem. You know that there's never been a unity. There's never been the Jewish soul on fire like it has now in this period of time because of what's going on. It doesn't answer up why we had to go through the horrors, but it certainly gives us a certain power of feeling Hashem in our lives. That's what Yitzchak wanted of Esav. Was it a good thing? Yes. He wants to transform evil and make it all good. That's Yitzchak's mission, because Einon Milvadoi is everywhere, even where we Jews don't want to go. Having realized what Yitzchak's intentions are, says the Avodas Halevi, now we understand what Rivka wants. Because Rivka realizes that, I get your point. Our goal is not to stay separated from the world. Our goal is to transform it. Got it. But Rivka says, Esav himself ain't gonna do it. You know why? Where is Esav buried? He's buried in two places. His head, right, rolled over because Hushim, son of Dan, knocked it off. And it rolled over and was buried in Me'arat HaMachpelah. When you walk in on the side, on the right side, you'll see Esav's head. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but definitely it's there. But his body's not buried there. Now, you know, you're not allowed to bury a wicked man next to a holy man. Right. So how come Esav was buried next to Yitzchak? Esav's head. The answer is because the head was good. The idea of Esav was good. Exactly. Imagine, you know, when you're getting a shidduch and they say he's be'etzem a good boy. What does it mean? He's be'etzem a good boy. It means stay away. Esav was good, essentially good, inherently good. His head, his idea was great, and that's what Yitzchak wants. He says, go and internalize that in the rest of your body. Can you? Rivka says, no, he can't. Rivka is not arguing with Yitzchak. Had she argued with Yitzchak, she would have said, Yitzchak, wrong kid. Psst, Yaakov's a good one. Why didn't she just say that? She could have just explained to him the truth instead of making this whole thing with switching and conniving. You know why she didn't? Because she wanted what she got his idea. His idea is that everything in the world should be transformed into good. She says, Yitzchak, let's do it. But how are we going to do it? The way we're going to do it is by having Yaakov become an Esav. That's how. Your idea of transforming Esav, excellent idea. The idea of Esav doing it, that's not a good idea. That's the only thing she disagreed with. So what did she do? She called in Yaakov. And Yaakov's like, I don't do this, ma. I'm just want to learn. She says, Yaakov, Mommy's telling me to go. Mommy understands. Right? Remember we spoke about it the last time. She was very understanding. 2 weeks ago we spoke about it. How Rivka means the animals aligned team. Rivka came from a family which was pretty, out there. And she managed to survive. She understands what evil is. She gets it from within. She says, Yaakov, we're conquering this. You're doing what I'm saying. You're going out against your nature. And ever since then, it's been the mission of Jews to go out to places where we don't want to be in, to Esav's territory, and to conquer Esav's territory. It is not fun. But we have no choice but to go there. So how does she do it? She tells him, she says, listen, Yitzchak wants that we should make Hashem revealed in this world. We Jews have a system. It's called mitzvahs, Torah and mitzvahs. What is a mitzvah? It is an act that is performed generally with physical things. And you align them with Hashem. We do it all the time. So we have in our calendar this time when we have to take a hut and create walls in a certain way and put the leaves on top, and then we walk inside and we eat there. And that's how we transform the physical world. We shape the hide of an animal into black boxes, and then we put the straps on ourselves. And this is how we transform the physical world. And we sit and understand how to do this, how to do mitzvahs. And then we find a way to do mitzvahs. And when someone approaches you and asks for some money, you take the hard-earned money from your pocket and you give it over to them. What you're doing is transforming the physical world into a divine, holy space for Hashem. That is the power of us changing the physical. That's what we all do. But if you do mitzvahs by rote, although it's true you're transforming the world, the trouble is you're not mindful of it. You don't feel what you're doing. It's just happening without you feeling it. So you want to internalize the feeling of what am I doing? What am I accomplishing? Like, for example, what are we doing right now? Everyone here does mitzvahs, right? You light the Shabbos candles, keep the Shabbos, you do the basics. But the more you learn Torah about what you do, the more internal it becomes. So we have to learn halakha. We have to know how to perform the mitzvahs, the body of the mitzvah. But in addition to the body of the mitzvah, we also need to learn the spirit of it. We want to appreciate what it is, what are mitzvahs doing. We want to be able to translate mitzvah not as commandment, but as tzavta, as connection. And we want to realize how Hashem is being revealed in the world. Yes, when you keep Shabbat, you're bringing serene peace, tranquility into your life. You're igniting your soul. When you put on tefillin, your mind and your heart, which are led astray, are aligned with Hashem. And you want to learn how each and every mitzvah, some mitzvahs we don't understand, because we also want to relate to Hashem in a way we don't understand. We want Hashem to be downloaded into our lives. That's what it means. The mitzvahs are like oil. They surface to the top. They make your life real. It's the good. It's the creme de la creme, the oil of your life. So my life is about looking for more mitzvahs, more opportunities. And then there's wine. Wine is the secrets of Torah, because it makes you happy. Yain yesamach levav enosh. When you get it, it's like, wow, oh, that's what it means. You feel better about it. So Shlomo HaMelech says at the beginning of Shir HaShirim, Yishakeni min shikot piu. I want that kiss. I want the fusion to merge Hashem with you. I want to feel God in my life. Ki tovim dodecha miyayin, because your love is good. Let's translate it this way, from wine. I feel your love from wine, from study, from understanding who you are. And he says, Shemen turak shmecha, right? So, kitovim dodecha miyayin, what's the pasuk there? Lereach shmanecha tovim. That the oil, the smell of your oil is so good. He's saying, I smell the oil, I feel the mitzvahs. My goal is to fuse with Hashem, to give a kiss to Hashem. How do you give a kiss to Hashem? What does it mean to give a kiss to Hashem? It means to internalize God in your life. That your brain just internalizes and goes into the heart. How do you do it? When you perform mitzvahs and you study what they are and you get it, you transform the physical world, you start seeing God, and your life becomes meaningful. Because you and Hashem fuse. Rivka tells Yaakov, go inside, give him something to eat, and then Yaakov gives him wine to drink. Vayavelo yayin vayesht. What's he doing? He's telling his father, Abba, I'm here, and my goal is that the world, my goal is what you want, that the evil of the world should fuse with the divine. We should find Hashem everywhere. So I'm going to walk into these difficult situations, and I'm going to say this too is good. Because in every situation, what's the mitzvah I can perform right now? Bitachon is a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to believe in Hashem in the most difficult situations. That's the mitzvah. It's a mitzvah of being besimcha. Ivdu et Hashem besimcha. So when I'm faced with a struggle in my life, the reason why there's a struggle is so that I can bring trust in Hashem and happiness to situations where He never was there before. That's hard. That's why bad things happen to good people. To be able to bring Hashem to places He never was before. So he says, I'm going to dress up in the clothing of Esav, and I want to draw Hashem to a new place. He's like, Hashem is going to come right down here, and I'm going to give you wine to drink. And when Yitzchak drinks the wine, Yitzchak is divine power, divine energy right now. Yitzchak feels Einod Milvadoi. When he drinks the wine, he fuses with Yitzchak, with Yaakov. He calls him over and he says, Geshana ושקה לי בני. Come give me a kiss. I feel the connection between us over here. I feel that you're getting it. To kiss Hashem means to feel Hashem being with you in the most Esav situations. And that you still see God over there. And then Yitzchak smells. He smells Yaakov. And what did he smell? Vayarach. He smelled Gan Eden. But he smelled, it says, et reach begadav. The Baal HaTanya said on this, because Avodas Halevi is the student of the Baal HaTanya. He says, what's Vayarach et reach begadav? He quoted the Medrash. The Medrash says, reach begadav is reach bogdav. The Medrash says, boged is a traitor. He smelled his clothing. He says, it smells like Esav here. And then he says, wow, that's a powerful smell. And he realized that this Esav is actually beautiful, delicious smelling. And it says in the Medrash that it was because there was a Jew by the name of Yosef Meshisa. When the Gentiles came in, the enemy came in to conquer the Beit HaMikdash, they knew that only Jews can help them conquer, because Jews are their worst enemies. So they sent a Jew inside. They said, you go in and get the menorah out. And this Jew by the name of Yosef Meshisa betrayed his people, and he walked in and he took the menorah out. And when they brought it out, they said, that is the most stunning piece we've ever seen in our lives. They said, that can only be fit for a king. Go back in, take something else. This will go to the king. The next thing will be yours. And we'll give you all the taxes of the entire country of Yehuda will all be yours. He says, I'm not going back in. This traitor says, you're kidding? I'm not going back in. They said, we'll cut you up into pieces. They chopped him up into pieces. And for every time he was chopped up, he says, I deserve it. Because I angered Hashem. Somehow, when they said that line, and they said, this is not worthy of a human being, this is for a king, they meant the emperor. He saw that even a Gentile understands that that's for Hashem. He's like, and I didn't get it, and then he did teshuvah. When Yaakov walked in with these clothing of Esav, Yitzchak looked at him and he smelled. And he smelled a powerful scent. You know what you smell from? Powerful smell. Smell is the most interesting of all the senses because there's nothing tangible about it. And yet, smell, you can take something, smells spicy is much better, more powerful than anything else. Right? Spicy, tabak. When you smell something spicy, it's intense. It's powerful. Sweet smells aren't so powerful. He gave him that most spicy, intense smell ever. He smelled evil. He smelled evil Jews. And he says, wow, this is incredible. We call it Baalei Teshuvah. We call the people who were immersed in evil and then flipped over and suddenly got connected to Hashem. That's what this is. It's the power of evil to be transformed. Vayarach et reach begadav, he smelled his clothing, bogdav. Yitzchak was on a mission. His mission was to show that Einod Milvadoi is everywhere. There's nothing void of God. Hakol, everything is Elokut. Everything is Hashem. I want to go do that even in the evil. Rivka said, I love the idea. I get it. It's important. Let's find Hashem everywhere. But you got to understand one thing. Esav is evil. When you see a terrorist, do not convince him of the righteousness of your cause and of why it's not a good idea for him to change. For him to do that, he should change. You know why? Because terrorists need to be murdered. You got to kill him and then have a conversation. You don't sit and converse with him and try to convince him of anything. Yitzchak's mission was, let's take the evil and transform and work it and try. And she says, it's a... Had he given him the bracha, it would have perpetuated evil, because here's what happens. You see, Arabs have a problem. They get, we discussed this, right? It's a wrong language that they get. When you're nice to them, what they do is they swallow that niceness and they view it as weakness. So what they see you as is weak. And therefore, what you want to do is not show any weakness. Show your strength. Because in America, it's called niceness. In the Middle East, it's called weakness. If Yitzchak would give the bracha to Esav, Rivka realized what would happen is, he wouldn't say, oh, so evil needs to become good. He would say, wow, good agrees that evil is good. So I can stay evil. That's the problem. That's why we Jews have such a difficult time with the mitzvah of Timche et Zecher Amalek. Like, what do you mean? How do you obliterate them? And Hashem says, trust me, Amalek obliterated. There's no other choice. Because if you follow that, you destroy evil. That's the point. Hashem created evil not to be elevated. Evil is created for you to be elevated. It doesn't mean that the bad is good. It means everything that happens, you come along and say, it's all working out for me. Hashem is here, it's all good. The bad is going to disappear one day. How Hashem does it, I don't know. But when Mashiach comes, we will all be laughing. It won't be any evil spirit in the world. What that means is all the evil will be eradicated and destroyed. All the terrorists will not become good. They'll become destroyed. They won't exist. And then the good can come out of the other ones, of the Chasidei Umot HaOlam. But the good inside them needs to be eradicated. And Yitzchak wanted to work with it. And that's what Rivka tells him, no. Your idea of finding Hashem in the most difficult situations is great, as long as you understand. It's like the Torah, the Gemara is full of lies. Right? The Gemara is full of lies. Because if there weren't lies, there wouldn't be a Gemara. How do you make Gemara? Everybody lies to each other. Meaning, two people are holding on to a garment. This guy says, I found it. That guy says, I found it. There's a dispute. So one of them is lying. Right? And the Torah wants to know, what's the verdict? Who's right? It's all about that. The Torah looks to enter into the most challenging situations and find God in the most difficult situations. But understand this. The goal of the darkness is to find the contrast between the darkness and the light. The darkness itself, meaning the three evil klipot, needs to be destroyed. And when it's destroyed, you find the good in it. What Yaakov does is he says, but in the middle of all this evil is Yaakov, putting on the garments of Esav. He's a Jew. He's wearing the ugly, crass garments of Esav. And in the Jew, there's good. Always. He's divine. He has the power of Hashem in him. What's Rivka saying? She says, Yaakov, go in to your father. Go into the divine power. He's looking to find Hashem everywhere. Show him there's Hashem everywhere. And what ended up happening was, Jews were sent out into Esav's domain and territory. It's an ugly place to be in. That's where we live. We live in a lot of ugliness, ugly situations. What's our mission? Our mission is to enter into the tension, right into it, and to start kissing Hashem. Yishakeni min shikot piyu. What does it mean to kiss? It means to start focusing on a deeper reality. You don't need to solve the problem. Hashem solves problems. You're feeling feeling anxious right now by anti-Semitism, you're feeling worried, the anti-Semites themselves need to be eradicated. Because if you're murdering, you cannot exist. We're not looking to transform them. Yes. But what we want to do is be able to remain strong. Our emunah, our bitachon is being tested right now. And Rivka tells Yaakov, I know you don't want to go there. But Hashem sends you into challenging situations in your overall general life, all of us together, as a people and as individuals. When something challenging happens to you, your initial decision is flight, not fight. And what you want to do is walk into the tension and say, I was taught that Hashem is real. And now I have to teach it to a new situation. And it's a challenge. I'm going to put on the garments of Esav. That's my life. All my challenges, all my shalom bias issues, all my anxieties, all my worries, I'm going to walk right into them. And I'm going to feel each one of them. That means I'm going to wear them. To put on the clothing of Esav, to wear the feeling. Yep, that's tough. That's how I feel. That's it. Exactly. Right. As long as the Kol Yaakov doesn't mean that we are, out to that. They generally, unfortunately, the army thinks that, right? That we're not going to hurt innocent civilians. It's a myth. A civilian is someone who raises his hands and says, I'm giving up. Not a guy who's in the middle of the war and got, missiles under her bed. So, yes, that message is absolutely true. We wear the clothing of Esav. That means we walk into the tension. We feel a sense of overwhelming grief and loss and challenge. And if you live in the center of Israel, it's one type. If you live in America, it's another type. But every single Jew is going through it. Every single one of us right now is going through it in our personal lives. For a long time, we've had that already. And in our collective lives, we're going through it. And instead of walking away and running away and saying, I don't want this, listen to Mama Rivka. She says, Yaakov, I know you don't want this, but Yitzchak is right. Not making a mistake about that. The only mistake he's making is thinking that the evil itself is good. No, the evil itself is bad. But you, who are in the middle of the evil, feel the feelings, each one of them. And when things are impossible and you're like, whoa, this is tough, that's just another feeling. And if you allow yourself to walk right into the tension, you wear it, and he gives Yitzchak the wine to drink. He says, listen, Yitzchak, I went to my shir, and I learned that Hashem is everywhere. And I learned that it's real, even in those difficult situations. And Yitzchak, come on, you got to realize this. And Yitzchak smells something different about this child. He smells that Jews enter into the murkiness of this world, into the most difficult situations. And he says, and there they find Hashem. This is why the whole Torah was placed into a dark spot, lies, deceits. The Torah, as you learn Tanakh, it's horrible stories. If you know the story of Pilegesh beGiv'ah, there was a concubine in Giv'ah, in Tanakh, and she was violated, and then they chopped her up, and then there was murder and fighting. You know the story of Shimshon? Yeah. It's ugly and murky. Yes. And you want to stay away from it. You want to just learn holy Kabbalistic stuff, And Hashem says, no. Rivka tells us, you guys have to go right into the tension, into that space. You put on the garments of Esav, and you say, I'm here to find Hashem everywhere. And Einan Milvadoi was a theory until we walked into the next step of life. And what we're walking into now is Hashem is calling us. And each one has his mission. If you're a soldier fighting in the front lines, then your goal is to not be afraid and to be ready for what none of us can even begin to fathom, which is Mesirut Nefesh B'Po'al, actual readiness to give up your life. Those guys are beyond. in terms of their courage and power. But if you're in the back, the goal is to fight your war and to contend with your Esav and to find your Baal Tshuva, which is your ability to find God in the most impossible situations. And when we feel all the tension, all the negativity, we realize Yitzchak gave us a mission to conquer the evil and to not run away from it and to not be afraid of any Esav. And Rivka told us that Esav himself is out. But the kiss of Hashem and finding God in the physical world, that's our avodah. And when we, each of us, recognizes the toughness and the hardness and the grief and the horror that we're feeling, and then we say, yep, and I don't know, and I feel all this, and I still find Hashem, then Yitzchak gives the bracha to him. And the bracha is that you should be zoche to redemption. You should find Hashem revealed in the world.